Warning: the content you're about to receive is for the sole purpose of exposing fake trainers, doctors, nutritionists, life coaches, and wellness gurus, in addition to educate them and provide you with accurate information.
Come on!
36 years ago, I became a personal trainer. My objective back then, as it is today, was to get my clients in the best shape of their lives. But in order to do that, I had to know everything about the 3 training components that were responsible for changing the body in the most efficient way. Therein lies the problem. You see, most personal trainers are absolutely incoherent about the 3 training components, and they're dead wrong in the way they train their clients. It's a real issue in the industry. So my mission today is to expose fake trainers and to inform consumers, to talk straight and to provide accurate information. What you're about to see in the upcoming video, I'm telling you, will produce profound results. I urge you to check it out. You will not be sorry. You know, at this stage of the game, I've been in the health and fitness industry for 36 years. I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen a lot of trendy stuff come and go. And as a personal trainer, I've trained everybody in the industry. I've trained every walk of life that you can think about. But I really didn't get my real lessons in the health and fitness industry until I got into the sport of bodybuilding. And that happened in the first 20 years. And what I learned about that sport very quickly is if I wanted to go on to the higher levels, national and world level, I found out that I would have to know everything about what I call now the 3 training components, which include weight training, cardio, and nutrition. If you're not willing to take those steps on an ongoing basis, I can promise you that you just can't create a physique like these bodybuilders do. Forget the drugs. You still have to put that work in. So that became a very good lesson for me because it taught me about how I could actually, as a trainer, teach people how to get from point A to point B in the most efficient way. And I have to tell you that with the 3 components, those training components that I'm talking about, if you leave even one of those out, you will compromise overall benefit. So that takes me now to where I'm at. I'm in the industry now, having all this time and experience underneath my belt. As Albert Einstein once said, real knowledge is experience. Okay, being in the trenches day in and day out, failing to find out what actually really works. Okay, that's where I'm at now. So I'm asking myself, how can I make a difference now in the industry? It's about sharing my knowledge. Okay, sharing those 3 training components and then taking that to the individuals. Because in our industry right now, there are a lot of what I call fake trainers. My mission now is to expose fake trainers, gurus, anybody that's out there that's self-proclaimed. I'm out there trying to clean up the streets, if you will, and bring really good information, okay? So with that being said, I'm looking for now people who are really in their industry masters, because here's what we need to find out. If everybody is saying the same thing, that their product is the best, how do you know as a consumer which one really is? A real guru, a real trainer, a real master in the industry can tell you why and can tell you how, and the others can't. So with that being said, we're going to talk today to a gentleman named David Miller. He's a Ph.D., and I think you're going to find that this is going to be a very interesting bit of information that you're going to get. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce you to David. David?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Touching base on what you had mentioned about the 3 components, that's so true. And if you go back and you look at the history of diets, and I hate using the word diet because it's a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
Okay? Diet automatically means restriction of something, taking something away. Yeah. And that's how the industry has been. You and I have both seen where, back in the day, where I put on 62 pounds of lean muscle, in 12 weeks or something along that line. And all these products, let's take protein for example. All these products basically are made in, I think it is 4 manufacturers back east. Now they're all the same. When it comes out, it's all the same, whey protein. What changes is each person wants to add their own personal touch to it for marketing. But the bottom line is that even though they've got all these things, they make all these great claims, the body will only take so much protein and take it in a certain way. Let's say creatine, it's a 3 amino acid blend that's put together by carbon atoms. What's the first thing the body does when you take that? Breaks it down into individual amino acids, which are free-form amino acids, as opposed to intact amino acids. So what happens is that basically a lot of that's going to go out the poop chute, and you get very little of it across the blood-brain barrier. And then what you do get across in those situations is hydrolyzed again in the liver.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question for you at that point, because I think that one of the things that you bring to the table, and that I do sometimes, 'cause I've gotten feedback like this, is they say, you know so much. Mm-hmm. I can tell right now that you know so much stuff that the person that is a more of a novice or just a unsuspecting consumer, we're just beating them to death. So I'm trying to go back and make it a little more lay terms. And here's my question that I get sometimes from consumers: when you say all whey protein is the same, tell me this, because I'm under the impression that there's 2 whey proteins. There's a whey isolate and a whey. Now I'm under the impression that the whey isolate has more protein in it than the whey. Is that true or false?
No, it's a pure form. It's cleaned up
Pure
where it's
form.
got less of the milk proteins and stuff that cause the lactic acid problems. The isolates, though, I think are much better for you because it's a blend. It's a little bit lower in as far as being cleaned, is what we call. But the thing about it is that it takes longer to digest. So as opposed to having all the bloating and the gas and the diarrhea, the different ways of how do you get that into the body and how do you get it through into the free amino acid pool? That's the big question. So you got a big circle that you have to make. And the problem is these proteins are broken down as soon as they hit the abdominal. As you consume these proteins, what happens is your gastric acids and everything, the juices will break those down.
Okay.
So now you're getting a little bit into the gut. Okay, the gut being, where absorption takes place. So absorption has to take place. It has to cross that through the gut, through the blood-brain barrier. And that's very difficult because the body doesn't let just anything in, okay? So as it goes in, let's say that's why you take 40 grams.
Yeah.
Maybe you get 8-10 grams into your body, into the free amino acid pool if you're lucky, okay? The rest of it, you've experienced this, I have too, the gas, the diarrhea, it's just brutal sometimes. And the best way to get this that we have found, back when I was at Baylor College of Medicine, Joe, we were working on pigs. And we were looking at a way to ameliorate restenosis, the blockages in the artery, open them, and then they would clog up again. So we were trying to find a way to stop that. And we were looking at liposomes. They were very unheralded at that time. Not too many people knew about them. And they had been around since '59 with Bingham and et al. But the thing is the liposome protects that. It puts it into a shell. Okay?
So let me ask you this. What exactly is a liposome?
A liposome is just oil and water.
Oil and water.
Well, it's a little more than that. It's a
but I mean,
phospholipid.
in layman terms.
Oil and water. If you ever poured oil in your pan for spaghetti, you see that big bubble?
Yeah.
That's a liposome, basically. That's how it started off. So now we use what's called the phosphatidylse. Phosphatidylse will give you mental acuity, but it also, what happens is it does this, and it makes a bi-layer. So you got 2 layers, water-loving on the outside, water-fearing on the inside. But that liposome will go unscathed because of the pH. It'll go through the gastric juices and it won't be broken down. It'll go into the fimbriae, the linings, gastric linings, and it'll cross over into the blood-brain barrier because there's a small amount of carbohydrate. You have to have that in order to get it across the blood-brain. But what happens is as it goes through the liver, it's unmolested. The body looks at it as a platelet, so it doesn't strike up what's called phagocytosis or cystocytosis. It's like a little Pac-Man going in there is going to eat that up. But that is the way that it's brought up into the free amino acid pool. So you're actually able to take less to get more into your system.
Okay.
So instead of taking 40 grams, 45 grams twice a day or something, you can take this once a day because it's dispersed over 8 hours.
So let me ask you this, with that being said, because in the training industry, as a bodybuilder, one of the things that we always wanted to make sure was that we had enough protein available as a pre-workout, and of course the post-workout. Now, I was under the impression that when you take a whey isolate or a whey protein, that which is different than taking a milk and egg protein, that is a very fast-acting protein, and that it's going to get into the cell between 7 to 10 minutes. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it just depends on also the rate of metabolism that you're looking at.
Okay,
yeah.
but what you're saying is that you can take less of it, but it takes longer to disperse. So how does that benefit somebody who is actually taking something for a pre and post workout?
Well, what you can do, it doesn't mean that you can't eat, because it's a binary cycle, it's a bilayer, so it comes up, it comes down, but it goes back up, and at the highest level is at 6.5 hours. Now think of you, you're always traveling. What do you take on the plane with you? You take your whey protein and stuff, or asking them for a little bit of water. Always, it's better to mix your protein with water as opposed to milk, because of the casein in it.
It slows the release down?
Yeah, and it also will, the liquid will hit those cells faster than the powder will, because it's carrying it through. But then you're getting the casein as opposed to the whey. Okay, so with our product, what you're able to do, and it's a product that you and I have been working on, is that we're able to get it into our system and then still be able to eat. So if I'm traveling all day, let's say I can't, not everybody's as disciplined as you are about getting your meals at the right time,
right,
throughout the day. So you got the businessman, he's got meetings, but he can take this and he still stays anabolic as opposed to going catabolic. And what's the body do when it doesn't have protein? It burns its own protein.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then, with the product that you're talking about, is it in a powder form? Is it pill form? Is it all the above?
It can be all of the above. It's a powder form. What we do is we take that phosphatidylcholine and it encapsulates that product, and then it comes out like a wet prep slurry. Think of like a Slurpee at 7-Eleven. I know you probably never had one, but
in my dream.
Yeah. And it looks kind of like that. So then what you do is you dry it. How do we dry it? There's two ways. You can put it through a lyophilization, which drops the temperature and the pressure, and it turns it into a powder. Or you can spray dry it. One costs a lot, one doesn't quite cost as much. So what you're getting is a finished product.
Right there, is there one costs a lot and one doesn't? Is there a difference? Sometimes you hear you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So the one that costs a lot,
lyophilization costs more because you can only do so much at a certain time. Where if you're doing the spray drying, it doesn't heat up. It stays below 98 degrees, so you got no denaturing of the whey or any of the amino acids, and it's spray dried. It doesn't have the crinkle that it would. The first time I did this, it was sent to my house. I didn't know if it would work or not. I was going to try it out. And it was sent to my house. I got these 2 FedEx envelopes, and I opened one up, and I swear, I don't know what crack cocaine looks like, but that's what I would have thought it was. And we were heading out to go to a doctor's office to do blood draws on everybody. Thinking, man, if I get pulled over, how am I going to explain this?
Right.
But matter of fact, we went out and saw Bill Phillips. Okay, and he's talking about a dysfunctional place. But I don't know, can I cuss on this?
Of course.
Bill said, this is rocket fucking science, man. Because I took some, and I let him taste it, and there was no taste to it. Took some and dropped it in the water, it was gone.
So it just dissipated
boom,
right
disperses
there.
just like that.
Yeah.
There's no lumping and clumping. You don't have to shake it. You can blend it. You can do all that, because if you're blending them, people are, well, you're chopping up the cells. Yeah, but they're going right back to when you put fluid in, they go right back into their formation and stuff. And so, that was at the time Phillips and them were kind of starting to fall apart with everything. And we're taking it to a couple of companies, and everybody wants it, but nobody wants to pay.
Right.
And part of it is we've got something so unique to the protein industry. I mean, you can put just about anything in a liposome. I mean, I could put your mother-in-law in there if you want. But, because it takes oil, it'll take, petroleum base, it'll take, powder, it'll take anything we want to put in there. And think of it, it's kind of like this. It's like a glass. And that glass is whatever we put in that the glass is the liposome. Whatever we put in there, we can deliver.
It encases it.
It encases it. That's exactly it. And the best way to think about it is remember BombBombs?
Yeah.
Crunchy on the outside, had the coat, and then had the ice cream. That's like a liposome. Okay. You got the outside cell that protects it, and you got the product inside to be delivered.
Got it.
And that's why it goes through the body so simple and so easy.
So then with that, like with that bonbon, I like that analogy because it makes it more layman term. How long does it take for that bonbon to actually break down, or that liposome, I guess is what you're calling it?
Good question. It depends. 8 hours, or it could be 6.5 hours. It just depends on the dispersion of the liposomes. That's why it's so important. I mean, you talk about some of these crazy things in the industry. I've seen people when I put my first patent out on this, it was the first patent in the world to be timed release, a protein in the body for 8 hours. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
So what we did is then we started seeing all these knockoffs spray. The problem with the spray of sublingual is that liposomes do not stay in an aqueous state very well. They start to
So
disperse.
it's not stable.
No, and what happens is they make them bigger. Oh, we're gonna make them bigger so we can get around the patent.
Yeah.
Problem is shells start to break apart. And so legally they can say if you tore it apart, took it and analyzed it, put it under transmission electron microscopy and look at the center of it, it might have 1 or 2 liposomes in there. So technically they're correct,
Yeah.
but most of it is crap. I mean, that's why we had to find a way to dry it, because you don't want to ship water back and forth. You know, if you can a pound of water versus a pound of powder.
Right.
I mean, I know it's still a pound.
You got to charge a lot more money.
Yeah.
Because of the weight.
That is where we're at with that right now.
But let me ask you this then. You're saying that there's an 8 hour where it breaks down 8 hour and 6 hour. Is that correct?
Well, it can break down. Yes and no. It's correct. The only problem is some liposomes will break off more quicker than others.
Why does it do that?
Because we want to put regular product in there too, so we get an immediate spike in your serum plasma levels, and then you got to sustained release.
Okay, so then what you're telling me then, because this is the stuff that I like to, one of the things as a bodybuilder that we end up doing, if you become a student of the game, I always want to know how the hell I got my result, because I want to get it to the point where I can reproduce that almost at will. Of course, your body is always in a state of flux, and that you can't really, always hit the mark just because your body's always changing a little bit. But if I can get some consistency and say, look, this is what I have to do. So this is why I'm asking you. If I'm under the impression that if I want to recover quicker than later, and if I'm picking your product, can you create a product that, because it sounds like what you just said that it does, can you create this product to where I get a certain amount hit into that muscle right away as a pre and post workout, and then I still have extra for the body? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and you've got
so you get like the best of both worlds. Both worlds.
And then we do glutamine.
Ah.
So
is that a facilitator?
You'll be able to do it the same way through liposomes, and I recommend that you take that at night.
Glutamine
the glutamine. That's a nocturnal product, because you're making your recoveries. When do you make your gains and recoveries? While you're sleeping.
Yeah.
So you have that, but we can do anything. We can do individual amino acids. I would tell you this: on the creatine was the first product that we did, and because we use phosphatidylcholine, which is used in mental acuity drinks, they started with the true energy drinks.
So what is? Can you give me a layman whatever?
Phosphatidylcholine is the shell that we use, the lipid that makes the liposome.
So lipid is a fat.
Right.
Is it like a medium chain?
It's a long chain, and the thing about it is you're using minuscule amount. You don't even have to. You put the phosphatidylcholine on there, or phosphatidylserine, or phosphatidylphenylalanine. All those are the phosphatidyls that you can use, but they give you mental acuity. The first time I took the creatine, I was in Vegas for a meeting or something. I think it was one of the MMA fights or something. I took it, and I figured I should do it. I'm the president of the company. I should do it. I didn't know if I was going to grow another arm or an extra penis or something.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
All good.
Got on the dips. Yeah. One for each hand. But I got on the dips, and I did 3 sets of 32. I've never done 32 dips in my life. I could feel, and other people would take this product, and they would feel the same way. You just focus, razor sharp. I would lie to myself, and I get home at 10 o'clock at night. I'm tired, but I got to go to the gym. So I'm going to go to the gym. So I put the creatine and the glutamine together, and I'd be drinking it. And about halfway through my workout, oh, hell yes, I'm doing cardio. And that's how focused you get with that.
Question on the glutamine. What would you recommend as far as dosage is concerned?
I think that's based off, individual body.
So it's based on body weight?
Body weight,
muscle, like muscle mass and that kind of thing?
And,
so generally speaking, like a guy like me I'm at right now 211, something like that.
What did you say, about 13 grams, 12 and a half grams?
Is that a day?
A day, yeah.
Do you split it up?
And you can do it twice a day if you want.
So half and then half.
Half and then half, yeah.
But I want to know where you get the best result. Would it be better for me to take 13 grams at night? Or is it better
during the day?
I'd see that's the kind of stuff I
would take it at night. The reason why we were having
all 13 grams?
Yes. I had
that's what I like.
13 grams, but I would have the guys that I worked with, like James Toney, Lehman Brewster, Kung Lee, all these guys, I'd have them take and have a meal right before bedtime. Because everybody goes, oh no, you can't eat before you go to bed, you
Yeah.
get fat. No, that's
not. Yeah,
that's a fallacy that we
bullshit.
both agree on. Yeah,
Right.
and so I would have them take that, but I have them do a bagel with maybe butter, not margarine and stuff, and have half of a bagel and then take that drink. And these guys, Kung Lee told me, he said, I've never been this cut in my life.
Yeah.
Lehman Brewster, for the second fight against Klitschko, I got him he was like 305 pounds after he had surgery on his eye. I got him down to 228. It took 3 months, but we got down to 228. He fought the Klitschko fight, he lost, but he put up a hell of a fight.
Yeah.
James Toney, the best compliment I got was when his wife walked in, said, oh my God, I could put my arms around you.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a compliment.
So let me ask another question.
Uh-huh.
I'm full of questions.
Yeah, that's right. I got answers for you.
I'm full of shit and full of questions. Anybody will tell you that. As far as, are there any calories in this
Yes.
product?
Whey has calories,
Okay,
but it
so-
doesn't have fat.
So how many, like for example, if I was to take, if you had me taking your product, how many calories? Because I'm to this day, Monday through Friday, I'm a calorie counter. Always have been. I got my scale with me. I always do. So I like to know how many calories I'm taking in. So how much would that add to my current regimen?
On an 8-ounce glass, let's say of the whey protein or the creatine, you're probably looking at about 250, 275 calories.
Okay, so-
that's it. Very
okay.
little fat, because as you know, anything under 5 grams, you don't have to list on the labels, and the labels have to be right, and they have to be concise, because it's not the FDA that gets you, it's the FTC. And I've
yeah.
seen that before, where people mislabel stuff or they lie on the label
Yeah.
and stuff, and you get caught. So we try to stay above board. We put everything on there. You're looking at maybe 225 calories for the whey. It could be less, could be more, but not much. And then you're looking at less than 0.25 calories for the phosphatidyls.
Okay.
It's so minuscule. And then the total comes out to, there's hardly anything. If you're using the whey concentrates, you're going to get a little more calories than if you use the isolates.
Okay, so then are you like with your athletes now, would you have them, excuse me, would you have them take this twice a day or once a day? Because now if it's once a day, you're talking 275 calories. But for some people, that this wouldn't even apply. But I'm talking about the guy who's that
Like
bodybuilder who is maybe getting ready for a show, and we're very anal about all these calories that we're taking in. So are there different ways that you can take this thing?
Oh, yeah.
Do you suggest morning and night?
You
Can you do it like
Put it in oatmeal in the morning if you want. Stir it into
so
your
you can
oatmeal.
actually put it in
Yeah,
oatmeal?
yeah, I do it all the time. Now look, I'm not in the best shape of my life. As you know, I hurt my back 4 years ago. I'm still waiting for surgery from workman's comp. And like your 3 components that you talked about.
Yeah.
I put genes up there with it because there's nothing we can do. I mean, you got good genes. Maybe I didn't get as good as genes as you got, but mom and dad, that's all they got.
Right.
And then it comes down to the second part of the triangle is your cardio and your workout, and then the third part would be your nutrition.
Yeah.
We can control those. We can't control anything to do with our DNA and our genes, except I went into a GNC in Houston, and a guy told me that this product gets into your DNA.
Oh.
I said, wow, so I could be black?
Yeah.
I could be taller. Can I get like a bad leg?
Yeah.
He goes, what are you talking about? I said, nothing gets into your DNA, pal. Come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
But that was GNC.
It's a selling point.
They know better.
Actually.
But yeah, for somebody like you, put it into your oatmeal. And when I would serve drinks, because I would be the chef basically for these guys, and tell them when to eat, what to eat, how much to eat, and stuff. And I would make them a good protein drink. I'd put the protein in there. I'd put some almonds, ground them up. Get a little bit of cinnamon in there, get some turmeric, and just make them
Yeah.
a nice drink with a lot of ice. So you've got a nice frothy drink, and it's kind of like presentation. If it looks like crap, you're not going to touch it.
I've talked to, I did a show one time on TV, and I said people eat with their eyes.
Yeah,
If
that's
it looks
part
good,
of it. Yeah.
if it looks good,
Well,
they're gonna eat it.
it's kind of like foreplay.
Yeah.
For food is foreplay because it's one of the things that we need. Sex, foreplay, whatever, you put it together. And the thing about it is, I did work with these guys. They had a heart bar. It's called the heart bar. It's no longer on the market. I can understand why. It was a bunch of PhDs from Stanford. Hey man, can you come up and talk to us? And so I went up there, and he showed me. He goes, "Have you tried the heart bar?" I said, "No." He hands me one, and I open it. It's like, "What the hell?" And I got as my witness. It looked like a turd. And so I said, "Well, you try it first." And so he broke off some, tried it. He goes, "Man, it tastes terrible." So I could only imagine if that's what that turd tasted like, that's
Yeah.
what that heart bar was. I said, man, this is terrible, because you've got your amino acids in there. And amino acids are very, very bitter when taken individually. And so what his problem was is Asians do not pick up on some of the amino acids like we do. They're immune to them, almost the taste.
Interesting.
Okay? And I said, so let me help you out on this. I'll do some arginine and bring it up to you. So we liposomally encased some arginine, brought it up to him. And he goes, there's nothing in this. This
So
is
it
nothing.
didn't taste anymore.
Yeah, he didn't have any taste.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about this liposome. It masks the taste.
Interesting.
So I showed him the TEM that proved that it was done with liposome. Here's the manufacturing. I said, this is what you need.
See, because like for me, it almost makes, in my days when I was really doing the regimen that I did, I don't do anything close now that I used to, but in some ways, this almost makes things more simple, if that's the right way to say that.
Think about the meals that you used to have to take.
Yeah.
You know, you got to stop. Everything has to stop. I got my body percentage of fat down to 4%, but it was my God. It's everything. I had to stop at a certain time. I had to eat at a certain time. I had to make sure I got this done. And it didn't leave a whole lot of time for my family. They were not happy with me. I look good, but I was going to be single if I didn't straighten up.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. The evolution of the industry has improved to a certain degree, but it's been stymied the last 10 years when it comes to any really new products out there. With this advent of nitric oxide, but we knew that way back when it was just arginine.
Yeah.
You know, and metabolites of that nitric oxide. And so the industry's gotten better, but in some ways it's gotten worse, like you have seen.
Yeah.
You've got so many people quoting so many things that are just so wrong.
So if I was, here's what I came back. I went to Eastern Europe in late '80s, and which was it was an amazing trip for me. In fact, the stuff that I learned there is still relative, and I say that because from firsthand experience,
Right.
you know. And I learned a lot of stuff there, like the body becomes dysfunction. Repetition is a mother of skill, which is Wolff's law. But you know that's what the Bulgarians were really forward thinking compared to the Russians. You know,
Interesting.
when I went there at that time, I mean, Bulgaria was like a little compared to Russia, it was a little country, as you know that.
Yeah.
Well, in 9 years, Bulgaria they were the number one. They were dominating Olympic lifting. It was so crazy over there at that time that the Russians were pissed. I mean, they were, what the fuck is going on here?
Uh-huh.
You know, and they were even sending people as going over to Bulgaria as waiters to get a job. But they were there to spy because they go, how the hell did these guys do that? Okay, so here's a couple of things I came away with. Okay, they said repetition is the mother of skill. I watched these guys train in the gym at that time because, I mean, if you didn't see this, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
These guys were doing, their training sessions were like 20 minutes, okay? They were doing, and they trained 5 times a day. They go 20 minutes.
Wow.
They take a break. They had this room that had ping pong tables, so in between, they'd sit around, play ping pong. They give each other massages, you know, for recovery.
Sure.
They were doing 50 to 65 1-rep maxes every time they trained. Because they said the body is going to adapt to its environment.
Yeah.
The body becomes dysfunction.
So they call it progressive resistant.
Well, I tell you something, they backed it up because in 9 years they were dominating the world. And I went to 2 competitions to watch these guys, and they didn't, these guys didn't come up and have to psych up on the bar. The competition was actually the easiest part of their training. Okay, that's one thing that I came away from that because I used to. Like a lot of guys, we used to, warm up a little bit, and then we start our working set. They go, they said, you're just teaching your body that you have to warm up. I mean, it was just like
that makes sense.
But I mean, for me to think that way, I thought, how in the hell could I possibly go right to the working weight? You know, for example, like 315 pounds as my first set, no warm up.
Right.
But I tell you something, long story short is that worked. Now, the part that I want to get to that relates to you is they talked about protein intake. And what they said at that time, back in those days, Mincer
Guy Mincer?
Mike.
Mike, okay.
Mike, yeah, there was Ray and Mike. They're both dead now, by the way.
There's a lot of bodybuilders that are dead now. Even Schwarzenegger, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, anyway, but Mike at that point was saying, because that was kind of like the $64,000 question was, how much protein should I be taking with all this training that I was doing? Well, Mincer was saying, half a gram for 1 pound of body weight. He was really big on that, where everybody else was saying, no, you should take about 1 gram. That was kind of the general thinking. The Bulgarians said this. They said, you actually have to take 3 to 4 grams per 1 pound of body weight.
Mm-hmm.
They kicked it up way up because they said when you're training this intense, you need to have that much protein.
Absolutely.
Okay, so with this product that you're talking about, so how do I incorporate this stuff? I mean, if it sounds to me like the product that you're talking about, if we're really sitting there, the idea and the reason for this show is to say, why is it that this product is so great compared to the things that are out on the market? So if I understand what you're saying to me, I can take less to get more.
Yeah.
That being said, how much protein should I take in now? Now I'm including, the foods that you eat, as well as the supplementation. Now, I mean, to me, you're almost like setting a new stage now.
Yeah.
Setting the,
a new standard,
A new
or what we
standard.
want to do.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with them. I don't agree at 3 or 4, 2.5 per grams a kilogram of body weight. I think works well. So, if you're looking, 450, 500 grams. Now that's without having any kind of renal dysfunction or any problems at all, because everybody says, oh, you take too much protein, it's going to mess your kidneys up.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. If you have a renal disorder, it's not a good thing to take that much, because it just makes the kidneys work that much harder. But if you don't have any kind of renal problem, then you're good to go. I think I know RDA, registered dietitians, will tell you 1 to 1.5.
Yeah.
When you're working this hard and you're pumping that kind of weight and you want those kind of results, you need to have 2.5 to 3 grams per body weight.
Okay,
per
so
kilogram of body
let's
weight.
just use, because I'm not real smart on math.
Okay, I'll get my toes out.
So let's just say a 200-pound guy.
Okay.
Just for the sake of making this easy.
Sure.
So then how would I, if I'm taking, let's just say 2 grams.
Okay.
So that'd be 400 grams of protein.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. In that 400 grams of protein, how much of that should I take from this product that you're talking about? Compared to, I'm assuming that,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
It's always better to eat your meal than it is to drink a meal. It's better to drink a meal than to miss a meal. It's better to eat a bad meal than to miss a meal. Okay.
Okay.
We'll start with that standard, because we know what happens when you miss a meal. Your metabolism slows down. You got to re-rev it up, and you're missing out on a lot. Okay. This product you can eat in between. So if you're taking 400, I would say from our product, take about 100, 125 grams would come from the drink itself.
Okay.
And especially before you go to bed, something like that, because then you're staying anabolic as you sleep, as opposed to going catabolic.
Okay. 125 grams of the 400.
Of the 400.
So what's 10% of 400? 40?
40.
20 is 80. So you're talking about, about 30%, something like that?
30%, 40%,
30% of your,
35%, yeah.
Okay.
But that's going to fluctuate, because you don't eat the same amount of calories every day.
True.
So it'll fluctuate a little bit. And if you hit it like a point that you're not making progress, you can decrease that, increase your carbohydrates or something like you would do,
Yeah.
or decrease it. You can play with it, because your body, just like anything else, gets used to. If you take
It adapts to its environment.
You take 1,250 calories in a day. You people go, I'm taking 1,250 calories in. Yeah, but just living is 600 of it.
Right.
So then you go to work, and then you go to the gym. You're already negative caloric.
Right.
And that's what people don't understand. The bad thing about diets is you and I both, we had talked earlier, is they're set up for failure.
Oh, yep. That's true.
I have stuck with the same program since I graduated, and that was in '82. That's a while back. But you stay with it, because I'm kind of a disciple of Peter Lemon. I agree with his ideas on protein and how much you should take, and that they did a study. It was a couch potato, a long distance runner, and a bodybuilder. Who needed more protein? Well, everybody said, well, the bodybuilder. Of course, no, it was a long distance runner, because they limit themselves to protein. Everything's carbohydrate, carbohydrate, carbohydrate.
Right. So
That's why you see that fat around them, and they can't lose that little bit of belly, because they're not taking in protein.
Right.
And so I'm a big fan of protein. I
Okay.
think it's, like I said, one of the 4, I think, important nutrients.
Do you believe that you should take protein first thing in the morning? Or, you know what I mean? Like, so you come out of a sleep. Should you take it right away? Should you wait to take it in there? Because like for me, for example, I always trained and still do at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
Do you do your cardio at that time, or do you lift?
Well, when I was bodybuilding, I did my training first.
Okay.
Okay. Always that.
That's the whole key right there.
That was the most important thing. Now, not necessarily, and when I was pre-contesting, depending on how far behind now, there's variables
Right.
there. But I'm just saying, like, for a guy that gets up at, put it a different way, somebody who gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning and somebody who trains at 10 o'clock in the morning, So what would be your recommendation on that? I mean, do you want to start eating protein by a certain time?
Well, I would, it depends on if you're trying to decrease your body mass or fat, or you're trying to increase. Because if you're trying to lose weight, or I should say trying to lose fat, I would say don't take it and do your cardio first.
Okay.
Because you're still going to have a certain amount of time. If you're getting up at 4 doing it, you're still got anabolic for another 4 or 5 hours, 3 or 4 hours, depending
From
on
the
what
night
time.
before.
From the night before. So
Yeah.
you got not a negative caloric intake. So now you still got some protein in you, and you can get in there, do your cardio, start burning off your fat, in that way. Then
Okay.
do your workout or stage your workout, eat, and then do your workout.
Otherwise, if I was waiting to do my cardio, then I would get up 4 o'clock in the morning. I could do one or two ways based on what you're telling me. I could wait because I still have some residual from the night before.
Reserve,
Or I could also, if I wanted to, I could take that protein at that
You
point.
can take it. You can eat before that workout.
Okay.
Or, yeah,
Yeah.
either way, it depends. I think that you should do your training before you eat. Personally, in the morning, that's what my whole thing for me was cardio. I did a lot of cardio, but I did a lot of lifting. But the cardio is what really cut me down, cut me up.
Yeah.
Was doing the cardio. Now you can't just do cardio and eat like a pig. It's those other
Right.
elements that you're talking about.
Yeah. And then the other thing then that I'd like to talk a little bit more about is now the recovery process. Now, would you agree that the sooner one recovers from their training, the better? And is there anything that we can do to speed up recovery? Like, for example, in some of the drinks that I used to take to push the whey protein, and again, you're right about that. I never took it with any kind of milk because it slows the release of that protein. So I got that. But what I would do was I would actually take something that was high glycemic sugar in that protein, because we were told that pushes and
The insulin
and
reaction.
moves it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there anything with your product now? Do we need to add anything to that to create recovery? Because I think you and I talked about this one time, that this product that you're talking about, does it actually create immediate recovery?
Part of it, yes and no, because remember, going back to some of the liposomes are going to disperse before the other liposomes. So you'll get some falling off, and then you'll get some going back up on our biphasic curve, okay? So I think the best way to recover is, like we talked about, you make your recovery at night. So you get your glutamine in you, you're going to push that, because, you know, when people talk about the immune system, just going and working out lowers your immune system, right? And you got to be very careful because, you know, you can catch a cold and you know, all the stuff that they used to talk about. And there's some belief in that. But the thing about it is the immune system isn't like an organ like the heart or kidneys or lungs. It's a billion cells that are just circulating through your body. And so, you know, their job is to keep any foreign invaders away that make it into the blood-brain barrier. Okay, so they're going to come in because what is going to happen is they're going to reproduce the bad cells, right? The flu cells or whatever, because it has what's called a ligam. It's a lock and a key, and it has to fit just perfectly for that, say, that virus to come into your body. Okay, so if you've got a depleted immune system, what you want to do is increase it not only with the whey, which helps, but also the glutamine. When we first started out, we were working with some AIDS patients. And we found that their immune system was depressed, but we were able to bring their immune system up by count, not a tremendous amount, but enough to make a difference in their life. And so that's kind of how we actually got started, was we weren't really going after the fitness industry. And I got thinking, you know what? Working on a pig. I was a pigologist at Baylor College of Medicine. Because the pig has a heart very similar to that of a human being.
Yeah.
So we were trying different things, and I got thinking, well, wait a minute, we're putting stuff in a liposome here and putting it into the coronary arteries of these pigs and trying to time release it over 30 days, because it takes 30 days for the restenosis to happen. That's where you've already cleared out the artery and it comes back. Okay, that's really a bad thing. Okay, so we would look to just wipe that off the face of the earth, because half the patients would come back. So we were doing that. I got thinking, hey, why can't I take a protein and put it in a liposome? You know how many people told me it'd never work? Oh, it'd never work. I said, well, the pH is going to be neutral at 7. Ah, it'll never work. Okay, well, all right. So I went ahead and ordered the product and got everything done, and it worked.
So obviously the liposome is a key here, a
It's
big
the key.
Okay, so now, and what I hear from you then is the glutamine and the stuff that you do at night will carry over. So do I not have to be, because, you know, when I'm a bodybuilder and I'm doing this during those days, I never missed a time when, I mean, the timing of when I took my protein
Yeah.
in because I was freaked out that I wasn't getting to the cell soon enough. Are you saying that we don't have to be that concerned about that now with this sort of the way your product works? I mean,
Right. Well, because
you're saying that most of the recovery happens at night.
at night. Well, yeah, your gains and your recoveries happen at night, not when you're at the gym.
So what happens when I've just done a really kick-ass workout, and then I'm wiped out after the workout?
On the way home, I'd be drinking a protein, one of our protein shakes.
Does that have the liposome in it?
That has the liposome in it, and you can actually mix the glutamine in that, because then you're going to start getting, you know how everybody says about, you know, protein synthesis in 45 minutes and
Yeah.
how that all works. Well, the glutamine's going to work the same way. So you put the two together, and you got a hell of a concentration there. That's going to be good for 8 hours.
Because for me, honestly, I think that would make just my life so much easier. You know, when I'm thinking back, now I'm not near as rigid. I mean, I still am, but nothing like I was. I'm just like a chemist in that room. You know, all these powders I was putting together with different dosages of all amino acids. You know, basically. But for me, this would be so much easier.
It's a convenient way. A professional bodybuilder might say, you know, I don't want to use this. You know, it's kind of like they're used to using certain things,
Right.
And they're very, very superstitious, just like
Course.
other people are. Oh God, I missed that one. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to do this show. You know, that type of
know.
thing. Yeah,
I know.
and it's you got to go beast mode. I've never been there, but I've seen some of these guys, and it's like, damn, the pain threshold that they have to overcome.
Oh,
Okay, now that they overcome that, they got to have something that's recovering,
right.
so they can get back the next day. Now, obviously, you're not going to work the same body part, but you got the same body that you got to work
Yeah.
and stuff. And this would be much easier, much more convenient. But the most important thing, Leo, is that you get more into your free amino acid pool. That's the key. When you fill up your amino acid pool, your free amino acid pool, whatever you need, it's available to
Okay,
go.
so tell me what that means. The amino acid pool. I'm thinking of a pool like a pool that you jump into.
Well, think about
is
this.
Where does that reside in your body?
It resides throughout your body.
Oh, so the whole
Yeah.
body.
Think about this. Nobody's ever proven that protein is sensitized to the muscle. It's never been proven. It's a given. Unless you want to take like a biopsy.
Biopsy.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that. But it's just a given, okay? That the protein causes that effect. It synthesizes and it gets in it. Well, when you cross the blood-brain barrier with our product, it's looked at as a platelet. It's not looked at as a foreign object. Like other products
So
that
it's
when
friendly.
they come, yeah,
Friendly fire.
there you go. And what'll happen is it'll go through and they'll see it and it'll start being hydrolyzed the second time. It's hydrolyzed in the stomach and then it's hydrolyzed as it goes through the liver. Ours goes through the liver unmolested. So then it's available. The free amino acid pools, they're amino acids available for wherever you need them. So that's kind of how the free amino acid.
A lot of
pool-
fish there.
A lot of fish there, you know, real in
Yeah.
there.
Okay,
So-
that makes more sense to me. Okay, so another question I have.
Okay.
In the industry right now, again, man, I tell you, you know, there's so much out there. Now I spend a lot of my time reading Google News because I find that's where I find all the fake trainers and the fake gurus.
Yeah.
It's the good news is this, is that I have a lot of material. The bad news is I'm always pissed off because I read this stuff and it makes me crazy, you know. So in the industry now, you know, like as far as absorption now, that's another thing. Okay, we recover, but how much? I want to get 100%. What happened to me? 6 years ago, I had these damn strokes that paralyzed me, and one of the things I did to get me back was I did IV therapy. And all the IV therapy was vitamin C, alpha lipoic acid, and glutathione.
There you go.
That was a cocktail.
Glutathione.
Okay? And the selling point to that, and this is where I want to get into this thing, because the selling point was that when you take it as an IV, then it's 100% absorbed, and it's right into the cell.
Well, it doesn't have to go through the liver.
It bypasses the liver.
Yeah.
Okay, now, that being said, when you're talking about taking supplements, a lot of it, now it sounds like to me that the product that you're talking about bypasses the liver as well. Is that
It
correct?
goes through it, but it's unmolested.
Okay.
So it doesn't hydrolyze it.
Okay, and it's unmolested. Tell me again, it's unmolested because of the liposome?
Because the liposome is a neutral pH, and it sees it as a platelet.
That makes me hard.
Makes you what?
Hard.
Okay.
You know, I'm telling you, that right there, that is the nugget for me.
Okay. I'm
Okay?
glad.
Because
I'm glad you have a happy ending.
that tells me that that's the reason why I don't have to be worried about taking the supplement, because this liposome is the X factor. It's the deal breaker.
You know how many people have asked me, can you put steroids in that or something? So I can put your mother-in-law in there, but the thing is, I'm not going to.
I
don't believe in that.
See, that's the X factor, and that makes me understand now why. So
How it
you just
works.
gave me the why.
There it is, buddy.
It's the liposome can bypass, or it doesn't have to bypass. It can actually go through unmolested, and you're going to get a tremendous amount of.
So instead of 80% of your product being wiped out, and you get 20%. See, they used to say you are what you eat. No, you are what you absorb.
Yes.
Okay? So with this, you're absorbing that, and you're going to get 80% of that 40 grams or 25 grams or whatever you want. You're going to get that in there, and that's what makes the difference. It really makes a difference.
I just totally got it. Just
light,
now.
boom, just clicked on.
Yeah, just came on. Now I understand why, I should take that, because this, in my head, I already got the picture. It's all made. I see this thing just
going through the mouth, going through the stomach,
it's nice and
intestines,
it's covered.
Mm-hmm.
It's protecting
Yeah.
this good stuff, and it's getting right in there, and I get it.
Yeah.
How fast does it take to get it into your? I know you said 6 to 8 hours. Is it like a drip into your system?
No, actually, it's bombarded.
Okay.
And we, like I said, some of the liposomes we make it one size, some we make a different size, because the smaller ones are going to last longer, the bigger ones are going to disperse faster.
Yeah.
So we want to almost immediate release with the whey protein, but we also want it dispersed over time, because you got to have some right away.
Yeah.
Get in your body, get your metabolism kicked off, and get things going. And then it goes biphasic. It'll go up. It never came below baseline. It stayed above baseline at 6.5 hours. See, our initial study, we were only going 6 hours, and we said, okay, let's see what happens. And we washed it. It was like going up. It was like, damn. So we came back 2 weeks later. We had washed out, and then came back in, used it for 8 hours. We took nothing by mouth except water. I wouldn't even use a heparin lock, even though people would say, well, it shouldn't affect it. I don't want shouldn't have. I want to make sure that there's all the variables are removed. So we look like junkies, because we were stuck with the IVs and stuff all over, putting that in. And I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, we were extremely happy. We spun everything down, we sent it off to the blood work off to Texas A&M. We want nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
And we got Texas A&M to run all the labs and stuff, our HPLCs showing exactly where it was. This person was on it, this person wasn't, and it showed the.
So there was no bias there.
Oh, there's no bias, but it was just obvious.
Yeah.
It was
So-
hugely obvious.
And then I guess one of my last questions, which means
One of your last?
One of my last, which means I have about 10 more, is if there's a big misconception in the supplement industry, I mean, is there? And if there is, what would you say that would be?
Oh man!
I know there's probably many. There's probably many.
There
but
is. There's a lot of, you see these magazines. This guy's telling you what his diet is. It's BS. It is just pure. I take 3 of these metrics. Take 3 of them a day, man. Yeah, and he's not. He's taking maybe 1 because he's getting paid to take it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think there's a lot of misnomers that way. Something that really pisses me off, that really gets to me, is when an athlete, like a football player, baseball player, gets caught supplementing with anabolics, and they say, well, it was in this supplement. Now I'm thinking, I know what it costs to make a supplement. Why would I take something super expensive like an anabolic steroid, put it in there, and how would I put it in there? Would I put it into the liposome and then sell it at this cost down here, so I'm losing 40% on it, but I'm going to make it up in volume? Right, yeah, okay.
Well, some people just believe anything.
Well, in the old days, you used to be able to say, you can get bodybuilders to drink donkey piss if it thinks it'll add 1 inch on them.
Exactly.
And then ask for more.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'm doing this live, this Facebook Live and Instagram Live. And the reason why I was asking that, because I really agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I'm calling people out and calling programs out. It's like my last live feed that I did. I said, look, these quick fix diets, they're producing what I call SOS, shiny object syndrome. It's like the next best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
And they've gotten people used to doing that. Even the way people train. People are switching their programs so much because they want something different, and your brain actually will get used to something, get tired of something before the actual muscle gets the effect from it.
Right.
You got to, and that's why I tell people, you have to actually put yourself into a plateau, because that's then really, you just can't live there. But I call these people out, man. I said, look, these programs like Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers, and what's the other one, Nutrisystems,
Yeah.
those programs are designed to fail.
Yeah.
All you have to do is take a look at the stats, because what those people do, they buy the diet until they reach the weight loss goal. So I give them kudos for that because they get that result. But then you take a look at that stat 8 months down the road, most of those people are in worse shape
Yep.
than when they started.
And
So
you know
what
why
kind
that
of
is?
what kind of bullshit is that?
You know why it is? Is because let's say I want to lose 20 pounds for my class reunion. So I start eating salads and I limit myself. I won't eat certain things. So I lose that 20 pounds. But what has happened is that 20 pounds is made up of about 16, 17 pounds of lean muscle that I've lost.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? So what happens? I go back to my eating, my normal things. So my body fat actually increased while I was losing weight.
Exactly.
And that's the yo-yo, because pretty soon they're here and they're going, what is wrong with me? What? And they want to serve you these meals. Well, the thing is that's not teaching you calorie control.
Well, and here's my take on that. I say, look, the best diet that you can be on is the one you stay on.
Yeah.
Okay, so these people are being disingenuous because they know that's going to happen, and they're lying to the people. That's just like me as a personal trainer. I said this in my live the other day. So I said, let me get this right. Okay, I was regarding this quick fix stuff. If I tell you, okay, because this is what they're doing, I'm your personal trainer, I'm your guru. If I tell you, David, I'm going to put you on this program that's going to fail.
And I'm only going to charge you $35 a week.
Yeah, if I tell you that I'm going to put you on this program that's going to fail in about 8 months, most of the time, are you going to go on it? Some people actually will. I said those people that actually do that are insane, and they need to bang their head up against the wall to find some, some common sense. But if I tell you that's going to happen, why would you want to keep on doing that? Because that's exactly what's going on in the industry. It's all about quick fix this and quick fix that. And if you really are a real trainer, if you're a real guru, like in your industry, like you are, then here's what you tell people. Okay, you can actually set up a diet that is user and lifestyle friendly, because those diets are not. Right. They're unfriendly as hell. So how long do you really think that a person's going to stay on a diet like that? They're not going to.
That's why I hate the word diet.
And then I think this is all part of the conspiracy, because they know it's happening and they know that people are going to come back to it. Do you think money's involved?
Oh no.
I'm not opposed to making money, but not at the expense of.
Not at failure.
No.
Irritating. I've been in martial arts for about 40 years now. And Mr. Barnes and I were talking today on the way out, and it was like, I always wanted my students to exceed me, to be better than me.
Yeah.
And that's what it was all about. On these diets, and diet's a 4-letter word, it's set up for failure. Let's look at the turkey store. Okay, we've all seen those wrappers with the green slash, and it says 97% fat-free. So I'm thinking in my minuscule mind, oh, that's 3. So there's only 3 grams of fat. But I turn it over and it says 7 grams of fat. How can that be? Well, as we talked earlier, they remove 97% by visually removing it, not by content.
That's disingenuous.
Chicken of the sea.
That's not misinformation.
Chicken of the sea. They had, it's 0 grams. They're good tuna, the solid white albacore, 0 grams of fat, or 0.5 grams of fat. And then during migration, you pick it up, it's 5.5 grams of fat, but the label's the same. How do you know? It's just, bread, for example. Bread is no longer a complex carbohydrate. It's been milled down, as you well know, to a simple sugar. But those little tags, there's different colors, that indicates when the bread was made. And they're supposed to have a sign out to tell you how long this bread's been on the shelf based off the color of the bands. They don't tell you that stuff.
And here's the deal, and maybe this is when we wrap this thing up. Here's my stance on all this stuff. I believe in the stuff that I advocate, wholeheartedly, and that doesn't mean that things don't change, because change is a constant. But you know something, when I tell people in my gym that come to me, I have a gym where we do personal training, and one of the things I said, I believe in what I do so much that I said, look, if I can't get you in the kind of shape that you want to get in, as long as it's reasonable, if you're asking me to that you want to lose 100 pounds in 3 days, okay, that's not being reasonable. But I'm gonna back up my work. I'm gonna give you a guarantee that this is gonna work, or I'm gonna give your money back.
That tells a lot.
And no one does it in my industry. I mean, some do, but I mean, most will not do that in the industry, because they can't.
They can't do it.
Because they can't prove it, and they can't back their shit up.
The only way that would fail is if they don't show up.
Exactly.
And 2 things: muscle confusion. Because you don't do the same thing all the time. You want to break it up, confuse the muscle. Eating's the same way. You never eat the same amount of calories. You want to break that up, higher and lower, because you want the body, be dodging and weaving, saying, okay, now I got to work harder, or I got to work less. And these diets, You know, you look at them and they, well, Marie looks pretty damn good, I gotta admit. Yeah. But you know, I've lost this much. And you can feel it in the first week. You'll see it in the first week. Really? Really? Yeah. Come on now. How are you measuring this?
Yeah.
Well, when I do body fat, BSA, I do 7 points.
Yeah.
Not 2 points.
Well, and the thing about that is, especially like the thing that with Dr. Atkins diet, and I thought that was a good diet. I did overall. But the reason why you get so much, as you know, so much, especially in the beginning, is because the low carbohydrate acts as a natural diuretic. It pulls water out of your system. So that a lot of the loss that
using
you got
water,
was
not
water.
weight. Yeah,
you know, and that,
fat.
Again,
not weight. Yeah.
When you're not educating people, then you keep them stupid, and I guess that's part of the plan. But I don't dig that. Look, we can wrap this up because that kind of tells why we're here. We're exposing the industry, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
The myths, and I think that I learned a lot about your product, and I'm really excited about it. And is it on the market now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Now it can be purchased. We don't do it retail. We're just doing it right now. We're dealing with companies because of the patent and stuff, letting them manufacture it, so forth and so on. But we want to take this in and start doing it retail, like with somebody like an expert like yourself. We have never had a professional bodybuilder, former bodybuilder. I mean, you got a wealth of knowledge, and we put you and me together.
Boomba.
That's what I'm talking about, brother.
Anyway,
That's what I'm talking about.
Really nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
Thank you for coming on.
I mean, Leo, pardon me.
I've been called Joe too.
I've been called
Jack.
a lot of stuff by
my wife has another set of words she calls me. That's another story. But listen, I would like to continue this.
Oh, I'd love to.
I'd like to make this like a series, because obviously yours is an ongoing process, and you're going to have other things that are going to come along the way.
We're looking at unilamellar, which is liposome with the bilayer. We can also do multilamellar, which is a liposome within a liposome. So we can deliver 2 different types of products at the same time.
Unbelievable.
There's a lot of stuff that we can do.
Yeah,
Science is there. Okay.
Cool.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Until next time, then. I guess we're finished for right now.
Good.
If you want more information about this, click on that link below and go to my website. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below.